Hey, I'm Cortavius. I'm pretty excited about this event and raid. What am I excited about? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, I'm an old guy now, but maybe that's part of why I'm excited in them, is if I just go back, you know, they've done Xena, He-Man, Ninja, just, you know, the Monster Hunters. Just some of those collabs are like, oh, they're cool. And I liked some of the champs, but they didn't really resonate with me as far as something I was excited for. I mean, yeah, I grew up in the cartoon era, you know, but He-Man and Xena just weren't really shows I watched. Xena, I mean, I saw some Xena episodes, but didn't really get into it. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I mean, I've loved the movies. I did see some of the cartoons back in the day. I just like the characters, so I find them fun. So it's exciting to think, hey, you know, I don't know how they're going to fit in raid. I don't know if they're going to be great champs that I'd use on my accounts, but I just find it fun. This one hits me as I'm excited for it myself. So get a chance to pick Michelangelo up just from logging in for 7 days. That's pretty cool. So he's the one that we get free. And then they're doing back-to-back fragment fusions, which I'm going to focus this video primarily on. Is let's go through the fusion plan. So we get to pick up a second champ through the fusion. That's nice. And then I'm assuming the rest will be a little harder to get. And it's a limited time. I believe these champs won't be available from shards after the event's over. So we'll have to... of course, they're going to drop the packs. These are pretty much the same packs they always drop. They just run it by a champ. Put a champ on the screen and call it a Donatello summon pack. Same thing, though. Not worth buying. So, you know, if you want to add somebody in addition, so you got Michelangelo on the chase. It is a pretty fun time to start a new account then, because if you click that link in the description below, you get Narma, the legendary poison to start your account. You get a few epics with her, the best epic in the game, Uugo, Mausoleum Mage, and Anax. All you got to do is follow 4 steps. Step 1, log out of Play and Play on the PC and uninstall. Step 2, click the link in the description and register with a brand new email. Step 3, launch raid, complete the tutorial. And step 4, go to your inbox. Narma's sitting there. Get the 3 epics as you progress. Enter the code Demon Slayer. You can still get Tholen, and you'll get Michelangelo then on the 7-day login. Crazy starting raid. All right, so let's assume you have Narma now. You've come back and you still want to talk about this fusion on your other account, since you won't get that done if you just started today. So, fusion. Hey, make sure you log in every day and you'll pick up that free login champ during CVC, which could be a lot of points on a PR CVC for both you and your clan. If you miss a day, you'll miss CVC. So, all right, so fusion. It looks fairly typical, I would say, overall. I like the plan. It's the same, hey, we got 130 fragments, which I'm sitting in front of, but there's, trust me, behind me is 130 fragments. And once again, you need 110 of them. So if you did the last fragment fusion, it's for the doggy. It's the same format. If you didn't, just so you know, it's the ability to get you can skip an event basically, or particularly for the shard heavy ones, there's a champ chase and a summon rush. And so for the 2 shard events, that's a bad color for contrast. So for the 2 shard events, you got a champ chase and there's a summon rush down here. So that's 30 points. Since you can skip 20 of those, what it allows you to do is to say, hey, I'm going to pick up the 5 from the champ chase or the 15, and then you can get the 5 from the summon rush or the 15. You can't skip an entire tournament. I think I said you can skip 20. You can skip 10. So there's 130 points. 20 of those are on leaderboard, so you have 110 to play with. You can skip 10 points. So what it allows you to do, I think the most resource effective choice is to skip the 10 in either the champ chase or the summon rush and pick up 5 in one of those. If you are shard rich and you just want to save time, then you can get the shards from both the champ chase and the summon rush, and you can skip 10 points somewhere else. So you can skip, you know, both dungeon divers if you wanted to. You could skip a champ training. So whatever or if you're low on silver, skip artifact enhancement or gear enhancement. So you have choices. Typically, shards are the most expensive and limited resource a lot of people have. So we are going to start off in general with, hey, I've got Ice Golem to do. So you have, and it starts right off. So by the time you see this video, Ice Golem will have been running with Dungeon Divers. So you can get Ice Golem done with the Dungeon Divers, and you've got Champ Training. If you do that through Dungeons or the campaign, then you should be able to get through the Dungeon Divers points by doing Ice Golem and Champ Training. And then Dungeon Divers 2 basically doesn't wait long for that to kick off, and you've got, I would think you don't need the Dragon. You can't even do Dragon over on Dungeon Divers 1. So save your Dragon and do Dragon during Dungeon Divers 2, and that's it. Wow, there was not much going on with Dungeon Divers 2, is it? So that's a little unfortunate because Fire Knight and Champ Training don't start back up. So then you got Dungeon Divers 3, and you've got Fire Knight, Champ Training both going on in there, and you got Spiders. So Dungeon Divers 3 is not one I'm skipping because if I'm going to do Fire Knight, Champ Training, and Spiders tournament, well, then you're going to finish that Dungeon Divers. You probably max that thing out with all 3 of those running. So it looks pretty par for the course on the Dungeons and Dungeon Divers, with the exception of Dungeon Divers 2 is just sitting out there with not a lot going on. We do have the event dungeon. I'm going to do a separate video on that because I know I'll make this one too long, but, spoiler alert, man, not too excited about this event dungeon. So I'll cover that in that for how excited I'd be on it and why I'm not. All right, so back to the shards. Champ Chase starts tomorrow. Can't get the free login. It'll be over by then, but you can use anything from your inventory on, your portal where you've got champs that are in there. You can make Relic Keepers, Broadmaws. And, there are shards that we can pull this weekend. I'm sure there will be some event worth pulling the shards for. I guess the Summon Pool event has 6 hours left, so I'm betting that's going to be over by the time this starts. But if you got the white shards, I guess one thing is if you got the white shards in the Summon Pool, then don't go in there and wait to open that when you're in a Champ Chase. That's a way you can do it, but I think it has to be available. So you got typical Champ Chase, and then Summon Rush, they typically do the 10 times on those. So, basically you can just choose how compelling you find, how many more resources you have for Champ Chase, what the points look like. Hopefully they do the same thing as they did on the Doggy, the Krokmar event. Both those points requirements were low, for Plarium. They were low. So I'm hoping they do the same thing on this one. It would be nice to see that that's a new low instead of a new high every time. And then from there, you've got your typical classic arenas. These are easy. You just got to participate. Even if you have a low account, just do your free refreshes and get in there and grab the ones that are easy fights or solo champs. So those are easy to get. And then you've got gear enhancements. So those are just the silver drains. Just don't level up any inventory that you're outside of the gear enhancements. But you got 3 of them to play with. Plenty of dungeons here to farm silver and get it. So you've got 3 gear enhancements there. So that's really the events. I would say it's a classic calendar. It's not a bad calendar, but that really comes down to the points requirements, because obviously this can be an incredibly hard fusion if they set all the points high. It can be an easy fusion if they set the points low. The last one gives me hope that they're not going to go crazy in the 2 shard events and leave those low like they did last time. I expect the rest of them to be the normal 2250 points for a dungeon, 4,700 points in a Dungeon Divers. Those look like they're just holding their own on those. So I'd expect them to do the same. So the one point here I just think is a pain point is that Dungeon Divers 2. So if you are shard heavy and you're going to go after the shards, both sets of shards in both summoning events, then Dungeon Divers 2 is one I'd look to skip. I personally will try and I'll probably go for the 15 points in the Champ Chase. I'll go for every event, and I'll leave myself in position that on the Summon Rush next weekend, I will only need 5 points. That way, if I miss anything along the way, I'll be sitting here with only spiders. Well, spiders will be done, gear enhancement done. You can get the fusion done before the Summon Rush ends. So that way I can skip the Summon Rush points, or wait, I need to get those because I missed something else along the way. So that would be my approach to the fusion. So I guess one question unanswered then is he even worth doing? Is he a fun champ? Other than he's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, so I think he's worth doing. I just think it's fun to come in a Lizardman faction and see a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle sitting there. Donnie, I even like that they use a nickname Donnie on there instead of Donatello, so fun for me. But, is his kit worth doing? I think he's a fun champ. I think he's got a compelling kit, would be my overall summary. I don't think he's end game, crazy, but I think he's valuable. So let's go through why. On the A1, he's got a heals all allies by 5% of his max HP and instantly activates a continuous heal. So you're getting heals off the A1. That's decent. That's helpful. Nothing crazy. A2, he's got an AoE. That's nice. Decreases the cooldown of all ally skills except his by 2 turns. Skill cooldowns cannot be decreased by other cooldown. This skill can't be increased. So you can't do the W Miko thing. She's going to be the only one. So he can't reset another Donatello and have them do going back and forth. And you can't use other resets to reset this skill. So that's kind of unfortunate because Pain Keepers could reset other Pain Keepers and they're rares. So you can't, slow this, cool this down or reduce the cooldown with anybody else. And he's got a 30% increased speed on allies for 2 turns. So you got a speed boost, a skill cooldown decrease, and an AoE. That's a fantastic skill. I mean, that really is nice. And I guess when I said not crazy endgame viable, that does offer up things that endgame accounts can do. What I mean by not crazy endgame is, well, if you have W Miko, Kaimar, and all those guys, well, then you have more choices and he's not as critical. But people who don't have those, like me on any accounts, that's a pretty nice skill to use, and he can be added into teams. So we'll come back and talk about that when I'm done. So let's get to the last of it. A3 removes all debuffs from all allies. You got a cleanse, you've got heals, and you got strengthen. And fills turn meters again. So I got increased speed on the A2. I've got a turn meter fill, healing, a cleanse. That's a really nice kit. And then he's got a passive that whenever any of the other turtles are on attacks, he'll join their attack. And if you're about to get a fatal hit, he'll stop them from dying. Now, if somebody does an AoE and it's going to kill 3 champs, it's only going to save whoever's in the closest position in the turn order. So if your leader was going to die, the leader's going to be the one he saves. The rest are going to die. If the leader wasn't going to die, whoever's number 2 in the turn position in the battle, they'll stay alive. So he keeps one person alive. If it's a double hitter, he'll keep him alive for the first hit, and then the next hit will kill him. So it's an okay skill. It's an okay piece of the passive. It can come in handy, but it's not, not game-changing in my mind. Unless you've got bosses that do single attacks, like maybe Amius or something, where, he could keep somebody alive from that A1 hit and keep an Amius team from dying. Something like that could be done. So, and then he does bring in aura for HP in all battles by 30%. That's a nice aura. If you need more HP somewhere, at least it's an all battles aura. It's not like arena or something, limiting. So I do think he has some interesting capabilities for things like Titus teams, where you want to reset skills and have Titus do more work with the Wixwell team, for example. The fact that he can reset everybody's skill cooldowns. I think he could go into Chimera teams where you end up getting people to go more turns faster. His rest of his kit's not really good for that, but he could enable the rest of your team to do more work. Certainly, regular PvE type stuff, even PvP for people who are progressing. I don't see him in endgame teams. It's just an interesting kit. I generally think fusions are worth picking up when they have, unique or just valuable skills that can fit in. He's a guy who decreases all ally skills by 2 turns, puts increased speed up, keeps the team alive, and heals. I gotta think that the wizards in this game that come up with team comps will find a way to make him useful for the people who don't have these or other crazy reset champs. So for a guy who doesn't have a lot of reset champs, I think he's definitely one I'd pick up. So that's my view of the fusion. I think the champ was fun. I think he's got a good kit. I think it's a well thought through kit. It's a nice synergistic kit. I don't see anything in this kit where I go, well, that doesn't fit with this or that was a bad design. I like the kit. So I think he's a well-designed champ, and the fusion looks doable. Dungeon Divers 2, just be careful there. So I'd go for him. So if you got the resources, he's a fun one to pick up. Hey, thanks for watching. Have a great day.